Hey guys, today I'm going to talk to you about my experience using the iPhone 15 Pro Max a couple of months in. What features I ended up really liking and using, and what features I thought I would like or use, but ended up not using. Let's find out more. So I've been using the iPhone 15 Pro Max for a couple of months now. It's been my primary phone. I don't think I've ever been in recent years this happy with the upgrade as I was with the 15 Pro Max. As you're well aware, in recent years, the upgrades that come to the iPhone every year bring only marginal improvements. There's less and less innovation year after year, less and less groundbreaking features, and more subtle upgrades that barely make upgrading worth it, but just make the new model shiny enough so Apple can get more and more people to buy the latest, greatest new thing. So it's been a while since I was excited about a new iPhone, especially having the previous year's model, because as I said, the improvements from the previous year's models are usually more basic. With the exception of the 15 Pro Max. This is the first time in a long time, a couple of months in, I don't have buyer's remorse. I don't regret upgrading from the 14 Pro Max. And here's why. Well, before I tell you why, let me tell you about the things that I thought would be a big deal, but ended up not being so. You know, these features that are hyped up by Apple and you think they're going to be awesome, but end up realizing they're just marketing hype. Kind of like the dynamic island on the 14 Pro. That's one of the features that when I watched the keynote seemed to be awesome, and I really wanted that feature. And mind you, it's quite a cool feature, but after some time you realize the utility from it is not that great. I love having it, but less useful than I thought. Where the 15 Pro Max, there's a couple of features like that which seemed to be awesome at first, but then I realized, good to have, but not deal breakers. One of them is the titanium, which was one of the major selling points for Apple, the major marketing messages behind titanium, stronger, lighter, etc. On the stronger aspect of things, well, I don't buy that. It's just marketing fluff in my opinion. It's only the sides of the frame which are titanium, and even if it is stronger, that's not the weak points of the iPhone and not what usually ends up breaking. So more strength over here, one can argue or question how useful it is. On the lighter aspect, yes, it is lighter. And when I upgraded from the 14 Pro Max to the 15 Pro Max, I did feel it was noticeably lighter. Now on paper, it's just a couple of grams lighter, not a lot, but when you've been using the 14 Pro Max for a while and then you just hold this in your hand, you instantly feel it is lighter. Those couple of grams are enough to make you feel it is lighter. Having said that, our brains are wondrous things, and after some time, you'll get used to it. Just like if you get a heavier phone, you're gonna get used to it and forget it's heavier. Same thing with this. It is lighter, but it's not light. It's still a heavy phone. And after some time using it, you're gonna forget you had a heavier phone. This is going to become your new standard, and for me the only benefit I feel from it being lighter is just a cognitive one. I know for a fact it is lighter, so it makes me happier that I'm carrying a lighter phone, if that makes any sense, but I don't feel it anymore. It's still a heavy phone. Second thing is the action button. Now this is an interesting one because what I thought I would like, I didn't, and what I feared I would hate, I didn't. So let's start with the second one. As you know, you can only have one customizable shortcut on the action button, and my plan was to have the camera as a shortcut, but I was concerned about losing the silent or the mute switch. That was one of the concerns that I had. Eventually, I realized I really didn't care much about losing the silent or the mute switch. So that was one good thing. Turns out I use it less than I thought, and just swiping up from the top to activate silent mode was not annoying at all to me, and I barely felt any difference. Now having the action button open up the camera app, this is something I really liked and enjoyed using. I did experiment with a couple of different shortcuts, but I reverted back to the camera, and you know, it's quite useful when you want to grab that quick snap for that fleeting moment. However, what I did not really like, and I did not expect that, is the placement of that action button. It's too close to the volume buttons that up until now, months in, I still press the wrong button sometimes, and that part's annoying. I would have very much rathered if there was more separation, if the action button was higher or maybe lower or somewhere else, but in my opinion, it's too close to the volume buttons. That makes pressing it or pressing the wrong button really an annoying thing that happens quite often. That's something I did not expect. But to wrap up the action button, I'm glad it's there, but it's not that groundbreaking feature that I thought it would be. It would have been much more useful if it was a bit spaced from the volume buttons, but also if Apple allowed two shortcuts, so a short press and a long press, for example, to get two different shortcuts. That, in my opinion, would have made the action button much more useful than it currently is. Third thing I want to talk about is the camera. Let me start with another hyped thing. On the 1x zoom, you have three different focal lengths that you can toggle between. It's 24mm, 28 and 35. That part, to be honest, I used twice. Maybe I even forget it's there. So those three different focal lengths, for me personally, hyped up, haven't used them, don't think I will. However, what I absolutely love is the 5x telephoto lens. That one I loved more than I thought I would. I found myself using it a lot and really appreciating the fact that it is there every time I used it. And sometimes not even to capture that distant photo. The other day I was at the airport, my flight was delayed and I just sat in a coffee shop, not too far from the gate, but from where I was sitting in the coffee shop and with my terrible eyesight, I could not see the screen which shows you how much or how long the flight is delayed, and the delay kept increasing and increasing, and I really got fed up after some time with getting up and moving closer to the screen so I can see the status of the delay. Eventually what I did is I used my iPhone, I zoomed in on the 5x, and I was able to blow up the screen large enough for me to see how much the flight was delayed. So for the following hour or so, I would just use my iPhone from where I was sitting to blow up that screen and read what I otherwise could not read. So the 5x telephoto lens, quite useful in my opinion, and I did find myself using it a lot with a lot of the photo shooting scenarios that I had. And this brings me to the final point of why I absolutely love the upgrade to the iPhone, and that's this thing over here, thanks to the EU, USB-C. I already knew that I was gonna love having USB-C, but I actually loved it more than I thought. First reason, straightforward, one cable for all my equipment. I travel a lot and I often travel with two laptops, an iPad Pro, two phones, and a couple of other accessories and headphones and whatnot. They are all USB-C with the exception of my iPhone. Now it is, and I can finally carry one cable to charge everything. Absolutely love it. Very useful. Sometimes I'm just charging my laptop and I just want to top off my iPhone, unplug that, plug it here. Very useful. I love it. But there's actually even more utility from the USB-C port than I had initially anticipated. With having a USB-C port on the iPhone, it opens up other possibilities, like attaching an external SSD and recording video straight onto the SSD. Sometimes I use the iPhone when I'm recording my YouTube videos as a second or third camera. Now, as you know, shooting in 4K eats up a lot of space, and often I don't have that much internal memory on the iPhone. With the USB-C port, I can just attach an external SSD, and then the iPhone is recording directly on the SSD, virtually unlimited storage, and I don't even have to transfer files from the iPhone to the computer for editing. I simply unplug the SSD, plug this into my computer, and the files are there. And that's one thing I absolutely love. By the way, on that topic, I did make a video on how you can potentially use an SSD while recording on the iPhone. I'll put a link over here. You can watch it if you are interested. There's even another use case that I wasn't even aware of for the USB-C, which is mirroring my phone to hotel TVs when I'm traveling using a USB-C to HDMI cable. Quite useful if I want to watch Netflix or whatnot and just mirror it on the hotel TV. But also, I sometimes take with me my PS5 controller, and using PS Play on my phone, I can play my PS5 games, which are infinitely better if they're mirrored on a large hotel TV rather on the small iPhone screen. So these are my thoughts on the iPhone 15 Pro Max after using it for a couple of months. Let me know in the comment section if you have the phone, what are you happy with, what features you're using, and what you're not. As always, if you liked the video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel, as this encourages me to continue producing content. Until next time, cheers.